Good morning. I am so excited to start another week with you. Obviously, I'm already in the office. I got a lot to do, but you already saw me preparing my coffee. So before we get started, before I tell you anything about that, I want you to grab your coffee and your word, and let's get started. Okay, so you saw me putting together my coffee this morning. And it is the Chicago French Press chocolate blueberry coffee. I use the Planet Oat unsweetened vanilla oat milk and the sweet cream Planet Oat creamer. It's really, really good. And I don't know if you guys remember from last week, I was talking about how I was holding off on this series because I'm not doing hot coffee right now. And then I remember, I'm like, Petra, you have a cold brew pitcher. You can turn this into cold brew. Done and done. And by the way, because I tasted this when I first got it, I didn't care for it hot. I don't like hot coffee, guys. I'm just beginning to realize that more and more. I just do not like hot coffee. But I made it into cold brew and it is so yummy. I taste the blueberry more. So this is a really, really good one. Really, really good. So highly recommend trying out Chicago French Press chocolate blueberry and doing it as a cold brew. Now, if you're a hot coffee person, try it that way. I again prefer it as a cold brew. I'm gonna let my seat down a little bit more. Okay, that's better. Cool. So I wanted to briefly talk to you about, because like I said, I have a lot to do today. So I got some stuff I gotta get done. And I came in a little early so I could have some quiet time. So yeah. We are going to talk about this reality that the cliche, favor ain't fair, is real. Okay, so we think of it as a cliche, but there's a reality that there is a strong truth to it. So favor ain't fair is true, but what I want to add to that is that favor is always impacted by obedience. It is always impacted by obedience. And so we're gonna go to Ezra 7, and we're gonna do two verses out of Ezra 7. So Ezra 7 verse 6 and verse 10. Ezra 7 verse 6 and verse 10, and this is the CSB version. And it says, this is about Ezra, okay? He came up from Babylon. He was a scribe, skilled in the law of Moses, which the Lord, the God of Israel, had given. The king had granted him everything he requested, because the hand of the Lord his God was on him. The king, Artaxerxes, had granted him, Ezra, everything he requested, because the hand of the Lord his God was on him. Now Ezra had determined his heart to study the law of the Lord, obey it, and teach its statutes and ordinances in Israel. Now Ezra had determined in his heart to study the law of the Lord, obey it, and teach its statutes and ordinances in Israel. And this was super important because, okay, if you read the whole book of Ezra, okay? Read the whole book of Ezra, but especially this chapter, it's talking about Ezra decided that he was going to go back to Israel and to begin to rebuild the temple. And it didn't make no sense, right? He was a subject of King Artaxerxes, okay? He was a subject. But because he was obedient and he was studying the word of God, and he had determined in his heart that he would follow only the instructions of God, there was favor on him. And it says the king had granted him everything he requested because the hand of the Lord his God was on him. And it even goes down to say at verses 11 through, y'all, through 26. It is a decree from Artaxerxes, basically saying whatever Ezra needs, give it to him. Whoever Ezra needs to go with him, go with him. Whatever needs to be done to protect him, protect him. Whatever is needed to get the temple of his God built, we're going to do that. And whatever Ezra feels is best in accordance with the rules and statutes of his God, we gonna do. How does that make sense? It doesn't make sense, right? It's like, it almost seems like it undermines Artaxerxes' reign, right? But there is a truth to this. A truth to this, because Ezra had made a decision before making the request. I'm going to obey God. I'm going to do what God says. And as God began to respond on his behalf, Ezra determined even more. I'm going to read, I'm going to learn, I'm going to obey, and I'm going to teach. So as God continued to respond favorably to him, Ezra continued to respond. I'm going to be even more obedient. I'm going to show up even more. I'm going to do the things that I'm being called to do. All of that makes sense, right? When you think about it's a natural equation. You are obedient to what God is calling you to do. God responds accordingly. As he responds, you say, I'm still on that. I'm 10 toes down for you. And because you remain 10 toes down, God continues to remain 10 toes down about you, right? And so my question to you is this. What are the things that you're waiting to do because you feel like there's no way this person's going to say yes? There's no way this opportunity is going to open up. But you're waiting for them to move. But the question is, have you moved on what God has told you to do? Because they will move as you move. Because it is directly impacted by your obedience to God. Favor is directly impacted by your obedience. You're waiting on other people when you yourself have not moved yet. When you yourself have not studied. When you yourself have not taught. When you yourself have not determined within your heart, I'm going to follow and do all the things that I'm supposed to do. You're waiting on you, not them. You are waiting on you, not them. It is true that favor isn't fair, but it's not fair for those who are obedient. It is exponentially greater for them. The doors that you're waiting to be opened, the partnerships that you're waiting to see, the connections that you're waiting to walk in, like all of those things, that happens when you are in alignment with God. Because you can ask for whatever you want if you've already done what he said. Because if it is within his will, you will only be asking for the things that are within his plan, right? You won't be asking for things willy-nilly that just focus on you. You'll be asking for the things that honor and glorify God within his will for you to do. And again, what he was asking for was to be able to go and glorify the house of God. A God who is obviously higher than Artaxerxes, who, by the way, calls himself the King of Kings, with a little k, but he calls himself the King of Kings. But he's saying, yeah, but go be great. So there is, there's something to be said there. There's something to be said there. You're waiting on certain things and certain people, in certain circumstances and seasons and situations. But the truth is that you need to shift your mindset to realize that you're waiting on your own obedience. You need to do what it is that you need to do. You need to go back and study God's word. You need to obey his word, and then you need to share his word in the way that he's called you to do it. And because you're obedient in that way, then God will begin to show up in ways that you never could have imagined. Because as it gets down to verse 27, it says, blessed be the Lord, the God of our ancestors, who has put it into the king's mind to glorify the house of the Lord in Jerusalem, and who has shown favor to me before the king, his counselors, and all of his powerful officers. So I took courage, because I was strengthened by the hand of the Lord my God, and I gathered Israelite leaders to return with me. The biggest thing here out of verse 27 is, blessed be the Lord, the God of our ancestors, who has put it into the king's mind to glorify the house of the Lord in Jerusalem. Favor isn't fair when you're obedient. God will put you in rooms you've never entered, and minds that have never thought about you, and conversations that weren't geared towards you. If you yourself are in alignment with him. That's it. That's all I got. I want you to make sure that you try Chicago French press. I have a couple other flavors that I'm going to be trying with you. I'm super excited because this one is really, really yummy. I know that I love blueberry coffee. it's chef's kiss. I'm gonna try it a couple different ways and I'll let you know. I may try to whip it. I'm not sure. It's very finely milled, so I don't know if I'll be able to whip it, so don't hold me to that. But I'm gonna try and we're gonna see how that tastes if I can get it done. But yeah, and if you have not gotten your tickets to the Hey Pretty conference, go to heyprettylife.com, get your tickets, secure your seats. There's only a few seats left for VIP. Y'all, I want you to be in this space. We're gonna have dinner together. We're gonna do some really good teaching, some really good networking. We're gonna do all the things. I cannot wait for you to experience it. And I want you to get your tickets before the early bird price changes. The early bird price, excuse me, the early bird price changes at the end of this month, okay? So beginning in June, I'm not gonna tell you what day, you just need to get on it. In June, the prices will change to regular price. So now's the time to get them. Now is the time to get them. General tickets are $75, VIP is $125. You do not want to miss this opportunity, and meet me in Jacksonville. We are going to have a time, as they say. If you have not signed up for the Be Well Pretty wellness courses, you can also go to heyprettylife.com. Those courses are free, and we are so excited about all the responses to that. These courses are free based on a generous donation from Spencer Construction and Engineering out of Jacksonville. They have been amazing and have helped us to make these courses available to you. We have some incredible instructors who are experts in these fields who are going to help you to enhance your wellness journey. We're going to combine your faith and your wellness to live a more holistic life. Okay, I can't wait to see you again. Go to heyprettylife.com. Make sure that you're getting your tickets. Make sure that you're securing your seat for the Be Well Pretty courses, and then I want to see you next Monday. Bye.